I got to the hospital. I was jolted back into my body, but there was a moment where I was not here anymore. This is interesting being Christian now and looking back on this moment and asking the question, what did it all mean?
Welcome back to Stand Up Dude. Today's guest has a story that is intense. He spent years in Hollywood, worked at a high level in film, produced an award-winning documentary on addiction, and by his own account, built a life that looked impressive from the outside. But underneath it, things weren't what they seemed. What followed was relapse, collapse, a near fatal crash, rehab, and a long rebuild that forced him to face deeper questions about identity, surrender, and what can actually save a man. Matt Farnsworth, welcome to Stand Up Dude. So good to have you here.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we were just talking before the show, just kind of getting more acquainted with you and stuff. And it's funny that just the way the Lord works in our lives and the things he uses. I feel like your story is one that is the stuff that God uses, and you think, well, how could he use these broken things? But that's his favorite thing, I think, to use is the broken stuff. So I'm looking forward to having you here, Tim. I know you're excited for this.
I am, very much so. We already have a lot in common, it seems like. So looking forward to hearing your story.
What was meant for evil, God used for good, right?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And that's my story right there. A lot of crazy stuff in Hollywood. Where do you want to go with it? What do you want to know?
Yeah.
The addiction
I could jump straight into something. I'll paraphrase your story, is that you were doing things on the outside that seemed like you were okay to everybody else, but you were actually just the opposite. You were dying and crumbling and inside. And so I want to hear about that. That's a very similar story that I have, and I'll paraphrase mine after you do yours just in a few seconds. But that's the thing that I think all of us can probably identify with, is keeping up a facade on the outside, and it can be quite exhausting when you're dead inside. So I guess my question is, what transitioned you to taking care of the inside?
Well, that's a long story, but I mean, when I was young, I had a few issues when I was young. My family with faith was broken early. And we know that faith is what really takes us through and fixes the inside, right? Mm-hmm. Well, my mother, early on in her childhood, had a father that was a Mormon minister. And he abused her badly. And so she despised the gospel. Not the gospel, because Mormonism is not the gospel, but anything related to religion. Yeah. She was like, I'm not having it. And so the enemy really put up a wall there for my family. Early on, it's like anytime a pastor came on the television, anytime we drove by a church, it was,
wow.
Yeah. That's how I grew up.
Wow.
I had a grandmother. My father's mother was Christian, very sweet woman, but we never went to church. It wasn't a part of it. It was abhorred. Really.
It was a what?
It was abhorred. It was abhorrent.
Abhorred.
It just, she just would become so angry about it.
Yeah, it sounds like a bunch of anger.
And so that's kind of how I grew up. And it was never a part of my life. So as I was, maturing, we moved a lot when I was a kid. My dad worked for IBM, and he was a salesman. He was trying to make it, and they would move us all over the place. And I ended up in Kansas City for a while. And I liked it. I was there for 5 years, longest I was ever anywhere. And I loved sports. I played sports, and I really enjoyed that. It gave me a lot of validation.
Which ones?
I played soccer, baseball, basketball, football, you name it. Well, I made the basketball team in middle school, and I had a core group of friends. They were great guys. Loved them. This was fun. But I had a coach who was a pedophile. He ended up doing some time 20 years after he was a teacher, but he was also my science teacher. And one morning I had injured my leg, and he took me into his office, and he said, I'm going to wrap your leg. And he started working his hands up my leg. Man. And he was breathing heavy, he was acting strange, and I took off. Yeah. I wasn't about to let this happen. Yeah. I had the wherewithal to say, I'm done. This is not good. I told my mom, I'm going to get to your question.
Yeah, okay.
I just got to go to the history first.
Get a little context.
A little context in there. And my mom called and said, if you ever do that again, I'll kill you.
To you?
To the teacher. She got a hold of him and she said, I told her what had happened. No repercussions for this guy. Like school found out all that. No repercussions back then, And I failed science. I did all the work. So I would have to go in school. They cut me from the basketball team. Now I have no friends. This friend group is gone. And I am sitting there in science class, and the guy would just tilt his glasses down, stare at me, and shake his head.
Wow.
And he failed me. So we know that when you fail classes, you lose a group of friends, you end up finding different friends. And I found a group that was much more clandestine, and then that's where the alcohol started.
I know you've spoken pretty publicly about being sober for a long period of time. Clearly you weren't before that. But even during your sobriety, like you hit this time where it was just miserable. I think there's a big distinction there, like being sober, but not actually having joy. What do you think was broken in your heart during that season that like just external sobriety and sheer willpower couldn't touch?
Well, I think I never dealt with that issue.
Yeah.
I never dealt with that issue that I was angry. I was resentful. I didn't like establishment now. I was anti any kind of authority at that point because look what happened.
Yeah.
And so I'm mad and I'm drinking. And then, when you don't resolve that, you live with that kind of pain and suffering and you take a chemical away that's numbing you. Then what? Then you're left raw. You're angry. You're emotional. Yeah. I went to college. I went to Seattle Pacific University, Christian University. But I had trouble in high school too. Like I drank throughout high school. Like the drinking was powerful. I did not stop. I played sports still, even though I was drinking. I don't know how I did it, but we're young, we're resilient, we make it through.
Bounce back.
Yeah. I was an alcoholic. Truly. I totaled a car in high school. I had trouble. Went to college and I injured my knee playing soccer. And I talked to a counselor. He said, you should definitely try acting class. So I okay. So I try acting class, fall in love with it. I'm like, this is great. This validates me.
Yeah.
This allows me to put on a different persona
that I can someone else for a while.
Yeah, I can hide from who I am. And I also want to be popular. I want to be famous. And I want to serve that master. I want money. I want power. I want fame. I see these guys out there making it and they're in magazines, and so I decide I'm moving to LA. So 21 years old, I'm in LA. I'm banging on agents' doors saying, can I read for you? And within like 2 months, I've got an agent. And I'm screen testing for TV shows and all this stuff. Well, LA is a different beast. LA is not Seattle. LA is beautiful, but it is sin. Now you've got cocaine, you got girls, you got parties around the clock. And I live in that world for a long time. I could tell you many stories about the things that happened to me there. But it was difficult. And I ended up, there were offers that were made that agents would make, and it would be things like, you can get this big role in a movie. You've got it. You're the guy, but you need to hang out with the director. And this is a dude. And by hang out, it means you get together.
Wow. Casting couch.
It is. That happens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I had a tough time dealing with that because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
My parents were good people. They were moralistic people. Yeah. They were not Christian.
Yeah.
But there was some intact morals there. Couldn't do it. And it hurt me because I thought, I can't make it on my own merit here. I worked hard. I was a writer. I was doing all the work, the acting work. Yeah, I was partying. Yeah, I was trouble. But I was young and I was able to keep it together and still do it. And so I end up meeting a woman that is probably not the right woman to meet. I make a couple of movies because I want to make it on my own terms.
So now you're making movies.
Yeah.
Not reading from movies. Now you're making them.
Yeah.
to skip the bridge to evidently be able to be in one. So now you're making them. How do you just, I don't know, maybe you came from money. I don't have any idea. Where did you get money to make a movie when you were probably a struggling actor at that point?
Well, I had been on TV shows. I had been in independent films.
Okay.
I was on Seventh Heaven. I had done work.
Okay.
I had family. I had friends, people that were interested in supporting this, and I was a good writer. I was decent at that. Okay. I'd say I was a better writer than I was an actor.
Mm-hmm. People tell me I was a better writer than preacher. My sermon looked good, but once I got up there,
it's hard to deliver, isn't it?
It can be, for sure.
Yeah. I was a writer that could be impactful.
Yeah.
And I wrote these movies. They did all right. One of them went to Tribeca and screened there. It was in theaters, and I was riding high. This is great. You know, and I got sober. When my son was born and I was 27 years old, I stopped drinking. You asked about white knuckling.
Yeah.
What's it like? It was brutal.
Yeah.
I was raw still. I was angry. I took the thing that numbed me, that made me feel comfortable in my own skin, was taken away. And now I'm living with a woman that I don't love. And I've got a son. And a year and a half later, my daughter's born. So now I've got 2 kids. And, you know, we just lived.
Yeah.
You know, you get through that time when you've got kids and you're going through this thing where you're not truly equally yoked. You don't even know what it means. I don't have Christ. I don't understand what it means. Now, I think Christianity is just something people do where they're really good people, and eventually they go to heaven if they're nice people.
Right.
That's my understanding. And so we go through this together, and we make this other movie, and it does well. It's a movie that is a slasher movie. It's nothing that would be anything considered Christian whatsoever.
Yeah.
And
like horror movies?
Yeah. And we end up moving out of LA because it becomes expensive. It's like 2008, 2009, the crash happens, all that happens, and we're like struggling. 24 months go by. It's 2011, 2012. We end up in Long Beach. It's still LA, but we're down in Long Beach now. And she convinces me to make a sequel to this movie. So I do this movie that I'm not into. I don't want to write it. I don't want to be a part of it. And I do it anyway. Because
You're looking a little more validation?
There's where I was going, is I was codependent. You see, I replaced that chemical with her. You know, she really became...
She gave you your validation.
She did. She gave me validation, but she also controlled a lot. I gave her a lot of power and a lot of control because I was wrapped up in this codependent relationship. I identified myself with her and the kids and this life that we had built, and I'm a filmmaker and I'm a director and I do these things. But was it really super successful? Yeah, one of them had 6 million pirated downloads, but you don't make money on it, right?
That's a cool stat.
Yeah. It's like, okay, great, but where's the success?
Not so much.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm flying by the seat of my pants, and we make this sequel, and then social media pops up. You know, in 2011, 2012, we got Instagram now. We're posting images and things of that nature. Well, she ends up having an online affair, and it becomes real. I find out about it, and it just blindsides me. I mean, I am just devastated. And what do you think I turned to?
Yeah,
back to what worked before.
I started drinking, and it was a lot of alcohol. She moved out, and I started drinking in the morning, and I would come back in the afternoon. I hit those bars I moved into, and this is the thing about addiction. A relapse doesn't happen the day that you relapse. It happens long before that.
It does, doesn't it?
You know, it's. I say I relapsed the day that I quit because it was inevitable. I hadn't dealt with any of my issues.
Yeah. I didn't hear any kind of recovery in there. You just quit drinking.
Yeah. No recovery. Just cold turkey.
Sober drunk.
Stop. Yeah. It's, you know, I was white knuckling. I was dry drunk.
Dry drunk.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I was angry. And that was basically those 11 years. I was living like that. So I had some willpower. But about, like I said, 2 years before that, we'd moved down to Long Beach. Well, there's 12 bars a stone's throw away. So I'm getting all these sensory, environmental stimulus walking by these bars every night, hearing the people partying and everything.
The smells.
The smells. That's the thing. You could smell the stale beer in the morning.
Oh, yeah, and the cigarettes.
And the cigarettes. All of it.
All of
you
it.
Could, even the sound, the partying. When you hear it, you know it triggers. It's like, oh, you ignore it.
Yeah.
You say it's not going to affect me.
But it's calling to you.
But I had been convincing myself for a while that now I'm 38 years old. I can handle this now. I'm not going to relapse. Like, maybe I can even do it. Maybe I can even drink.
Yeah.
And she actually did bring alcohol back into the house after she started this affair, because this guy, I guess she was with, liked to drink. So maybe they drank online, or I don't know what they did. But I started drinking. And it didn't take long for me to end up in a really bad situation. Really bad. Like I said, she moved out. I left that house that I was in, which was in walking distance to these bars. And I moved into a residence inn near her and the kids. We were still kind of what you would call working on it. Wasn't ready to really man up and say, done. Need to take control of this situation. I was in a land of, I was controlled by the enemy, totally controlled. And the day that I ended up flipping a car 6 times, breaking my neck and dying for 3 minutes, I woke up that morning and I had cocaine. And I started doing cocaine first thing in the morning. I was living in a lot of pain because I knew that she was still involved in this thing, but I was being told that she wasn't. And I was just in such a bad situation.
What leads you? I know you were making some documentaries about addiction and speaking about it publicly, and yet you still relapse, as we just heard. So, what does that expose about the lie that knowledge or insight or even just public credibility can save a man?
Well, that doesn't save a man.
Yeah.
That does not. Public credibility doesn't mean anything. The addiction doesn't care about your bank account, doesn't care about your race, doesn't care about your gender, doesn't care about your age. None of that matters. And what are we really talking about here? We're talking about the prince of the power of the air. Let's really get down to what addiction means. This is a spiritual being that can affect the way that we think. And if you don't have protection, if you're not in Christ, if you don't understand what that means, which I did not at the time, I was pliable. I listened. You're not worth it. You're no good. Nobody wants you anymore. I was in a difficult place because I really had never taken a look at who I was. I didn't understand my identity at all. And therefore, when I woke up that morning, I'd been dealing with all of this mess that had been going on in my life, this affair, these 2 children that I was not being a father to. There was this affair, like I said, the affair that was going on. And I was in this hotel, this dark 1970s style residence inn, drinking the free liquor that they have every day downstairs.
Oh, downstairs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got the free liquor down there.
Wow.
So
Surprised that place wasn't packed.
It was.
I bet.
It was. They cut me off.
Wow.
Like, you're done, man. So I was using cocaine that morning. She contacted me. She said, I'm going up to L.A. where we used to live. I'm going to go walking in the hills if you want to join me. And she knows I'm already using. I'm in a tough place. And I decided to do it. So I get in the car, and I tell you with 100% certainty, it was barely me. I was not in control at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know Christ. Never prayed to God in my life. Get in this car, I drive up there. Can't find her. She's gone. So now I'm 20 miles away from Long Beach. And if you know LA, that is a mad, crazy environment for traffic. It could take you an hour and a half just to get from Long Beach to where I was going in LA. So I decided to pull off and drink. I drink at a local haunt, get blackout drunk, and I do make it back down south. I get back down to the Long Beach area, go into a gas station, and I think I bought cigarettes. Because I black out, I don't remember exactly. Just bits and pieces. Get in the car, without a thought of anything, I take off. I blast it. And I end up hitting a median at between 60 and 80 miles an hour, left-hand side of the road here. The median, I hit it, it flips the car. Mm-hmm. So I go up over the median, and we've got 3 lanes of traffic coming the other way. And I can look down through the sunroof, and I can remember just seeing the tops of the cars and my car scraping.
Wow.
These cars. Mm-hmm. Flipped 6 times. No seatbelt. Just bounced all over the vehicle. Broke my wingtip vertebrae back here, and I believe they said an inch from being paralyzed from the neck down. And I pulled myself out of this wreck, the fireman later told me. Stumbled away from the car. They were trying to get to me. They said they were trying to reach me before I fell. Mm-hmm. Hit my knees and fell flat on my face. Mm. And that's when I flatlined.
Oh, wow.
Mm. So on the way to the hospital, I was out. Yeah. They got me in the ambulance. And I got to the hospital, and I was jolted back into my body. But there was a moment where I was not here anymore. Mm. And this is interesting being Christian now. And looking back on this moment and asking the question, what did it all mean? Mm-hmm. When I left, I was in a womb. It was a golden light. It was beautiful. Mm. And I didn't hear a voice, but I understood what was being said to me. Mm. I don't think you can understand God. Like, there's no way to really describe what had happened. And I felt this, I'll call it a voice, ask me a question.
This is happening when?
This is after the accident.
After the accident.
So after the accident,
you're in the ambulance,
I flatline, and this happens when I flatline. Okay, so I'm flatlined, and this happens for those 3 minutes.
Yep.
And I am asked this question, and I can hear it distinctly, stay or go. I think of my kids. And the second I thought of my kids, I'm thrown back into my body. Mm. Now, if I had said go,
where would you have gone? That's
where would
the
I
question.
have gone?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, you said yourself you were not a Christian. You weren't a believer and follower of Christ. Probably not to heaven.
I believe that I would have been weeping.
Yeah.
I believe that it would have been eternal judgment. I was going to go. It's an appointment no man can miss. Mm-hmm. I don't know that yet.
Yeah.
So that's probably where I was headed. And that frightened me when I realized that's what had happened. But nothing at that time affected me. I went to the hospital. Well, first of all, I'm thrown back into my body, and then you've got nurses on either side of you, and they are working on you frantically. You've got a doctor above you, behind you, and I wake up and say, did I kill someone? Did I kill someone? I had to know. Selfishly, I wanted to know. Am I going to jail? Am I going to prison? Did I kill someone? I say at that time more so because I was worried about myself, not what I had done. And the doctor, I never forget this, he leans in over me, and he's got these goggles on. They're like magnifying glasses, and his eyes are huge, and he just says, maybe you should really quit drinking. Get put into the CAT scan machines, MRIs, and I'm coming down off cocaine and alcohol, and I'm freaking out. I'm thinking for sure I've killed someone. They won't tell me what I've done. They won't tell me the magnitude of what's happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm coming down off this stuff. There's sounds going on in this machine. It's torment. Well, come to find out, I did not kill anyone. They wheeled me back to a room. I know I didn't kill anyone because after they handcuffed me to the bed, I was able to make bail. And I thought, if I made bail, I called my family. I said, I need help. I can't go to jail like this.
Yeah.
And if I went to jail with a busted neck and 25 staples in my forehead, I don't know if I would have survived the night.
Yeah.
But what I did is I told the hospital, I said, get me out of here. I want out. I said, give me the paperwork. And they said, you can't leave. If you leave, you will probably die, especially if you drink again. If you drink again, you have a blood clot, we're pretty sure. And if you drink, you're going to die. I said, I don't care. Just give me the paperwork. Signed myself out. Said, take the handcuffs off me. Handcuff to the railing. They took it off. I scooped up my clothes. There was glass in my clothes. There was glass falling out of it. I'm bloody everywhere. I've got a hospital gown on, and I stumble down the hallway of this hospital, make it downstairs, and realize my phone's broken. So I have to go to the cubicle in the middle of the information center, and ask the lady if I can use the phone. I call a yellow cab and get in the cab. The cab driver looks at me and says, what happened to you? And I just said, life. Take me to the nearest liquor store.
Dang.
And so we're in LA traffic, and I'm holding my neck because it's
good gosh.
Yeah. And I'm like, and glass is falling out, and I'm like, sorry, there's glass in your cab here. And I'm holding onto my neck.
Man, that's brutal. That is brutal.
I was so addicted.
Everywhere I go, people stop me about this hat that I'm wearing. Where'd you get that? I don't know why, but I really just like it. And I'm like, it's a Tennessee hats. That's what it is. Some buddies of ours started this hat company just trying to represent the Tennessee people and what they stand for. So we resonated with that with Stand Up Dude. So if you'd like one, go to the link in the show notes. You'll see how to do it. Can't wait to see you in one.
So when
brutal.
Everything spiraled for you, all the relapse, the crash, and all that, what do you feel like got exposed at the deepest level? Was it pride? Was it self-pity? Was it anger? The need for control in your life? Where did God force you to be honest?
I believe that was control. I needed control of my situations. I had a lot of pride, but it was false pride. It was selfish. I was full of ego, and I had no self-esteem. None. That's very often addicts. We got big egos, we got no self-esteem.
Yeah.
I go to the liquor store. I grab a bottle of cheap bottom shelf whiskey, put it up on the table. Clerk looks at me like, what is going on? Looked at the security monitor. I'll never forget that, seeing myself in there.
Oh.
Opened up my wallet. There's glass in my wallet. I paid for it. I went back to the hotel room, and I got in. All the shades were drawn. It was dark. Sat on the edge of the bed and drank as much of that whiskey as I could. I fell back on the bed, and I thought, maybe I'll die. And then I heard a leaf blower, and it was morning. They were outside cleaning.
Been there.
And you know that feeling.
You didn't even know it was morning, and now it's morning.
Now it's morning. And I tried to get up, and I realized I did this thing. I blacked out again. I didn't remember what I had done. And now I feel my neck, and I know that I've done a terrible thing, that I'm in big trouble. And I try to get up, and the sheets have dried to my skin because I bled everywhere. So I have to roll over on my knees, hit the ground, peel the sheets off my body, make my way down the hallway. Flick on the light, it flickers and stuff, and I look in the mirror, and I just saw a monster. Could not believe who I was. It was awful. It gets me every single time. And that's the first time I ever said, God, if you're real, I need help. I need you now. I've never prayed before, but I am now. And I felt a calm come over me that I hadn't felt before. Like a hand on my shoulder that was like, it's going to be okay. I got you. And then the phone rang, and it was a landline. My phone was broken, and it shocked me. It startled me out of this moment. But that's where it began. I was called out in a way that shined a light on my ignorance. I was ignorant of the gospel. I was ignorant of the signs that had been given to me. I was complacent in my behavior. I looked for the easy way. I didn't want to go through the trials and the tribulations. I didn't want to rejoice in those at all. I just wanted to enjoy my life and have fun.
Yeah.
And in that moment, everything really changed. I had to end up going to recovery. I had to go to a program. It was either that or prison.
So it sounds like now you have a need. It's to me. So a lot of men listening right now are not necessarily in a ditch or in rehab center, but they if they had to get honest, they're still hiding in some form. Still managing an image, still trying to outrun their emptiness, which is very difficult to do. I personally have found after being sober that I think the Lord's favorite words are the 3 words, I need you. I've learned that, but I learned that slowly. So So why do you think that is?
I believe that men in general want to be tough. Mm-hmm. We want to have an external surface that says, I'm successful. Mm-hmm. We want to be attractive to the opposite sex. Mm-hmm. We want to feel pride.
Yeah.
But as an addict, look, we perform this eisegesis on ourselves. We say to ourselves, I am this person, and our brain is broken when we do that. And the same brain that got you into this is not the same brain that's going to get you out of it. So you mentioned getting help.
Yeah.
Well, oftentimes, until something bad happens, because we're putting on this bravado, this fake thing that we're going through, until we do hit some kind of bottom, something happens. It doesn't have to be the fact that you're, in a bathroom floor with 25 staples in your forehead and a neck brace on. It could be something much more simple than that.
Sure.
But you're still lying.
Yeah.
And until you tell the truth, which can usually only come if you have the willingness to do so. And that often only comes after you hit some kind of bottom in some way. Because oftentimes when we perform that eisegesis on our own brain and we try to analyze ourselves, it doesn't work. Because we do need help. We do need others. We do need community. And until we hit that bottom, we're often not willing to even think about that idea. I know I wasn't when I entered recovery. It was like fear got me into recovery.
Yeah.
Because it was either prison or recovery.
Yeah.
And so what are you going to choose? And then again, that's all God's timing. God is going to show you a path, and it may not be easy, but he had to breadcrumb me into this.
Yeah.
Well, I had to go into a recovery center where they forced you to sit down every single night, say the Lord's Prayer, join hands with people. That for me was not fun. Didn't want to do that at first. Didn't want to be there at all. So it came on. It was like, okay, we're gonna teach you now how to do this.
Yeah.
And even still, it took a long time for me to come to his son, to come to Christ.
Yeah, man. Thank God you admitted you had a need.
Yeah.
I think that's what men need to do. If they're going through some kind of identity thing, you got to say, the truth is what sets you free.
No doubt.
That's the thing. And that's so hard for so many men to be humble and because they want to be. But really in leadership, when you're leading, it's not just about being tough. It's about being vulnerable, emotional,
honest,
understanding. Those are the hard qualities.
It is. Vulnerability can be a man's greatest strength, is what I've been told.
Absolutely.
Be vulnerable to your wife and your kids and others that maybe you're in influence with, and showing that vulnerability. Man, I've been trying to practice that because I never really heard that. Vulnerability. That sounds like having armor and just taking it off, going boom.
Yeah.
Stab me. You know, but just the. It's quite different when you open up your heart vulnerably and people see you as an honest, real, and open-minded, for lack of a better description, a person, and that person's a little more easily believable and a little more easy to follow in those situations, which can be a tremendous strength, which is gained by the vulnerability shown by men or leaders of any kind.
So I'm curious for you, like, at what point did recovery just stop being about just getting your life back and actually surrendering your life, like making Jesus Lord of your life?
Well, yeah, it didn't happen in recovery. I knew God because we have to turn our will and life over to the care of God as we understand him. You hear that often, every day in recovery. They don't bring you into rehab and say, you got to believe in Christ.
No.
If they did that, their doors would be closed down. They wouldn't get as much business.
Yeah.
But when you do come in and you see the 12 steps on the wall, God is mentioned more than a few times.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And I recognized that. But I didn't understand what it meant to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand him, because I didn't understand
That's what I was going to say.
That's a confusing thing.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Well, if you understand nothing, you can start there.
Yeah, you can.
I think that's kind of what they're saying.
Yeah. They are. They're saying, but they'll also say you can make your dog your higher power. Your favorite
I've been
mug.
to hundreds of meetings. They literally say you can make the doorknob. God, if you'd like, but it's not you. Just know that part.
And is that really going to help you transform your identity and keep you sober?
Yeah.
I mean, doorknobs don't drink, I guess, but that's neither here nor there.
So for the men that are listening right now, the guy who looks functional, maybe even successful, which is we've all played that, right? That's what we do. That's what we try to do. We try to look functional and look like we got a clue. Maybe he doesn't know anything about the God of his understanding. He doesn't understand him, or he's just straight up spiritually dry, compromised or ashamed, or just completely exhausted. What would you say to him about repentance, about surrender, and why Christ is better than the thing he keeps running to?
I'll tell you a story.
Okay, let's hear it.
I was in recovery for a while. 4 months in.
Yeah.
Doing really well. It was great. Feeling good. Started to help people. Started to pray. And one night I go home from the recovery center and there's a letter on the bed. And I open it up and it's from the city and they say your charges have been enhanced. You're looking at 7 years in prison.
For what?
Great bodily injury. When I flipped that car and it scraped the roof of that car, the other vehicle, the woman was so frightened, and rightfully so, that she lost consciousness for like 30 seconds. And they considered that to be great bodily harm. Okay. But I was beside myself. And again, I hit my knees and I cried. And this time I fully surrendered. And I said, if you want to take my life, take it. My life is now yours. I will do your will, whatever it may be. If you want to sentence me to this, I will do the time. If you want to, whatever
dangerous prayer,
whatever you want,
beautiful prayer.
I'm there. I was
if
in.
You've never tried that prayer, try it, please. Talk about your life starting at that point.
Okay. Now, every morning before that night, I had woken up in a panic. I woke up like shotgun blast over my head. Run outside, smoke a cigarette immediately. I say that prayer, I hit my knees. I'll never forget the carpet, the feeling and everything. It was really visceral. Whatever you want, God. I'm yours. I just said, I am yours. Next morning I woke up. My roomie over here, he'd snore like a mountain lion, a bear.
In rehab?
Yeah. And he had a rooster alarm clock that would go off every morning. It was on his phone and it would...
Horrible.
And it went off and I opened my eyes and I was totally calm. Calm. There was no pain. I didn't have anxiety. And I had just found out that I was looking at more jail time.
Yeah, incredible.
But here I am.
Let's go, Jesus.
Here I am. I'm good. No cigarette in the morning. Didn't even get out of bed for a few minutes. Sat there and relaxed.
No way.
Yeah. Took my legs off the bed. I would jump up. Gone. Cigarette. Like before I could even get to the door, the sliding glass door, I'd have the cigarette. I was lighting it. And that morning, totally serene. And from that moment forward, I did not have any more trouble with my ex. I was able to cut that off completely, the communication. I just kind of said, look, it's about the kids, not us. Some kind of power came in. Some power to be able to manage this pain. And that is whoever's listening, that is a powerful thing to do. to just say, I am not in control of the ship. And that's when I learned I am not the one in control of this.
Yeah.
I really am not.
Yeah.
And it fueled me to make it through recovery and then to go to my sentencing and to stand up in front of the judge and say to the judge, when he asked me, what do you have to say for yourself? I said, hey, I'm Matt Farnsworth. I did this thing on July 9th of 2014, and I know that I harmed people, and I'm truly sorry for whatever I've done, and whatever you see fit to punish me with, I accept it 100% because I'm guilty. And he just looked at me and said, okay, 6 months time served in recovery.
Wow.
No jail time. We're going to suspend that sentence. You be good. You have probation for 2 years, formal. You be good. Taking your license for a year. I said, okay. And I took it and I went home. Wow. And when my license came due to be suspended, I did not drive for a year. I rode my bike everywhere and I did not feel shame.
Yeah.
I did not feel the shame.
Yeah. Yeah, well, King took care of you, number one.
Yeah.
Man.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful.
Sure, he put you on a bike for a minute.
but still no Jesus. You did ask what happened. How did I find that? What happened? Well, I ended up bodybuilding.
Oh, no way.
I started working out like a madman. I was at Gold's Gym twice a day. I'd ride my bike from home to the Gold's Gym and I'd work out. And then I got my personal training certification. I started training people. Loved it. Changed my career because I knew I could no longer have a career in show business. It was not suited to my personality and my addictive behavior and personality. So I left that business and I started personal training. And I got a really beautiful story about my new wife. This is the person that brought me to Christ. She was working at a beauty cosmetology office, and I would ride my bike past it every day. And this is a woman that for 20 years, her and I had circled each other in this huge metropolis. 20 years earlier, she'd been at the same places I was at up in LA, going to different parties and things. We had just missed each other. When I moved down to Long Beach and I got into this accident, my recovery center, the home that I stayed in, was 1 block from the house she was living in, and I walked past her house every day. And she would always circle this thing called, it's in Orange, California. There's a circle there, and we would just be passing each other. We didn't even know it, but we figured this out later on. And then I left that recovery center, went 9 miles away to another area, and she ended up taking this job at this cosmetology place, and I ended up going in there. I'm like, this scar on my forehead is really bugging me. I got to do something about it. It was bad. And vanity got me a little bit there. But I've been making a little bit of money, and I'm like, I'm going to do something. We'll figure it out. Maybe these ladies can help me with this big scar. And I go in there, and her friend, one of her friends, says, this guy's a personal trainer. I introduce myself, and I tell him I'm a personal trainer. And her friend gets the idea that maybe it would be good to train with him. He's new. He's probably got good prices. Maybe we can get a deal. And he looks like he's in shape, and I was. Had a huge beard. It was like down to here, longer than yours.
Oh, yeah.
And,
easy to do.
And a man bun, and I was just all muscled up. And she said that she came out and saw me, and she's like, oh, he looks like a homeless guy or a muscle man or something. You know, he's not my type at all.
A homeless man.
Homeless muscle guy. Like he's not my type. I like a clean cut guy, right? And my beard was scraggly. It wasn't nice like yours. And they ended up training with me. They ended up messaging me, and they decided to train with me. And her and I are talking. We're communicating because I'm training with her. And she says one night, do you want to go out to dinner? Do you want to eat something? So she did like me a little bit because I think we started, when I was training her, I wanted to be professional, but at the same time, there was something else going on, and it was powerful.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the day that we had our first dinner date was across the street from the recovery center that I went to on my sobriety date.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
And so we sit down and we have this meal and we talk, and it's wonderful. And we just from there, never separated again. And when we got serious about our relationship, she said, if we want this relationship to work, we're going to have to center our relationship around Christ. We're living in Orange County. Divorce rate for second marriage is like 85%.
Yeah.
And so I go, what is that?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. What does that even mean?
Didn't understand that. So my identity I didn't understand that the case was settled 2,000 years ago on the cross.
Yeah.
Didn't get that yet. So I went to church. And the very day that I went to church, pastor said, who's ready? Who wants to say, I believe? Who wants to stand up and give their life to Christ? And something jumped into me. Holy Spirit was there.
Awesome.
I believe. I just said it right then and there. I think I shocked her. She's like, wow.
Wow.
That was quick.
That was quick. But then it was, okay, I get this Christ guy. I need to read the gospel. And then I started in. That was 6 years ago.
All right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Amazing,
So
man.
cool.
It took a long time.
Yeah.
It took a long time for me to get to that place.
Yeah.
But she taught me how to love.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Didn't have that
Yeah.
Ooh,
with
nice.
any other woman ever.
Yeah.
And so that was a beautiful part of it.
Matt Farnsworth, I appreciate you being here on Stand Up Dude today. I feel like we could have you back, and I know there's more detail we could go into about your story, other ministry things you've been doing. And it really is a reminder that a man, he can gain a lot, he can know a lot, and still be dying on the inside if Christ is not at the center. And just hearing your testimony there of your now wife, like, telling you Christ has to be at the center. I mean,
wow.
That is so cool.
So
just
good.
how all of that works out. So we,
You just lit up.
yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about her.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
You know, her and my
joy.
kids often.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
She's been the light. She really was. She saved me after recovery, and I saved her in some ways too.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to the man listening right now, stop waiting for your life to fully collapse before you tell the truth. The thing you are running to will not save you. Let me say that again. The thing you are running to will not save you. The image will not save you. The success will not save you. The numbing will not save you. Jesus Christ is Lord, and he is merciful. If you come to him, if you repent and you confess your sin, you come into the light, you surrender what you've been trying to control, and you turn to him, there is forgiveness, there's freedom, there's new life in him. So Matt, again, thank you for being with us. We love your story. We love that you were here. Want to have you back again. And
There's a lot more of that story
Oh, yeah.
to tell. We had to kind of surface level that thing.
Yeah, for
but
sure. Yeah.
It's been difficult to tell it because it is raw and there's more to it. But I really do appreciate you guys having me on. Anytime I can talk about Christ and testify, I'm here.
Yeah.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
Also, guys, if this was something that you felt spoke to you, you can pray right where you are. You can say, Jesus, I surrender to you. I confess I'm a sinner. I believe you are Lord. I believe you died on the cross, that you rose again on the third day, and that you are seated right now at the right hand of the Father, Lord, that I place my faith in you right now, and I give you my life. You can do that right now, right where you are. You can become a Christian and follow Christ. And he promises this. He promises that he will give you a new heart, that he will give you a new spirit, in fact, the Holy Spirit, and your life will begin to transform day by day, little by little. So if that is you right now and you prayed that prayer, we want to hear from you. You can leave us a comment below in the show notes. You can also hit us up at dudes@standupdude.com. And then also check out standupdude.com. We have a lot of resources on there for you, including, where can they go, Tim?
They can go to standupdude.com/stand, and you can find some great tools to just learn how to walk now with Jesus. Now if you've invited him into your heart for the very first time, now it's time to start looking like him. Super important. And these tools are going to really help you. They're free. So please take advantage of it. Standupdude.com/stand.
Yep. And also, if you want to know more about Matt, we're going to leave some links in the show notes as well, so you guys can find out all about his resources if you want to have him come speak or anything like that. His book.
The book is the Comeback Blueprint. It's
Comeback
Hollywood
Blueprint.
Hell, Addiction, Nightmares, and Redemption. And this is really important.
Yeah.
Never forget that the enemy has a cycle.
Yep.
And that cycle is tempt you. He's going to tempt you. He's going to say, you can do it one more time, or you're not. It's not a problem. And then after he tempts you, he isolates you, you do this thing, and then he's going to shame you. He's going to say, how could you? God doesn't love you.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
And it's a cycle that you get trapped in. But conviction says get up, right? Condemnation says stay down. And the men that I have worked with, a lot of them feel condemned by whatever behavior that they're in. But you can break that.
Yeah.
That's very important for them to know, is you can't stay in the condemnation.
Yep.
You can't feel that all the time, because that is not what you're meant to feel. That is a lie.
Yep.
What does Pastor say? Shame off you, shame. What does he say?
No, the gospel is shame off you, not shame on you. So
there you go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's the point that I wanted to make right there.
Yep. Yep.
Amen.
Thank you. Well, I know I enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the bodybuilding part. I enjoyed, but super quick recap. I also dabbled in, I did that for 3 or 4 years. Also, when you talked about looking good and trying to play the role on the outside and dying on the inside, I was in seminary at Southwestern Theological Seminary. I worked at the biggest church in Dallas as one of the youth pastors there, and I was a drug addict and an alcoholic during that time.
Oh well, we gotta talk about that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I know how that goes. And people used to say, "Man, you must have been, gosh, you really must have been living in that gray zone." Huh? I'm like, nope. I lived in the black zone, and then I lived in the white zone, and they didn't talk much in between. So when I got sober 37 years ago is when it's one of those dangerous prayers that probably the most dangerous prayer you can have is I will be anybody. I will follow you anywhere. I will do anything. It's you are the boss right now. You're the boss of my life. That's what Lord means. Lord means actually the boss. So if we think we own our life, he lets us manage, but when we give him the keys and the title of boss and ruler and director and producer. Ooh,
that's why when I wake up every morning and I say the same thing. When my eyes open, it's thank you, God. I'm so appreciative that I even have this day.
Yeah.
It's a blessing that we rise from our sleep.
It is.
And then we never meet another man's eyes before we've talked with God. That is a rule, because he is Lord. He is the boss.
Amen.
Yep. Amen.
So love it. Yeah, we got more to talk about.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see you next time,
God
guys.
bless you.